ongoing current, the crew was at the Intelligence Transfer Center, ITC, which hosted the 5th Annual Leadership Development for Women at the Gold Reef City, Johannesburg, South Africa, to develop and strategize an effective set of recommendations for fast-forwarding women's leadership, especially in government. Delegates heard all about how against all odds perseverance and hard work has paid off in the professional lives of the speakers. This platform will most definitely be the stepping stone for tomorrow's leaders.
Staying power, model competence, and having a heart for people is what takes you further than you want to go.
And as a woman in Africa and breaking the barriers of the social norms, how do you think that a woman of this time is different to the typical man in leadership?
I won't call her as, if you're coming down to being different, then I say she has to have a heart. We have to shift beyond an autocratic leader to a transformational leader. An autocratic gets the job done, but the end result is talent fleas. But the transformational leader knows how to cultivate his or her people and cause that people to shift beyond boundaries.
Speakers include Baleka Mbete, ANC National Chairperson, Marsha Gabriel and Judizile Nchoba. Top women in departments shared their skills. Department of Arts, Department of Correctional Services, and Departments of Social Development, as well as representatives from the private sector.
Well, if you know how to treat people with respect and you know how to be kind, the way you speak to people, I call this a top-down approach. If you speak harshly to your staff, then be well aware that your staff will be harsh to their customers. So as a good leader, you set the tone and you lead by example. I call this model competence, and it's good to be compassionate, but also you cannot be weak at the same time. So rather have, if you're hard, I call it compassionate hardness. Right now with technology, it's at the press of a button. As a good leader, continuously research, upgrade your knowledge, understand people, shift beyond the normal model of employee guidance. I'm a firm believer, and as one that has gone beyond the boundaries with my own medical disability, I've learned to understand. I've learned to understand people better. I've learned and I know what it is to be sacrificial. I know what it is to go, beyond the edge and take people with me. Because a good leader isn't a leader if they do not have followers. So, if you want the success of a leader, all resolves to the number of people that follow that person or that leader.
Some issues discussed included controlling your attitude, beliefs and choices, discussing diversity, management and your role as a leader, looking at the role of women in economic development, understanding indigenous knowledge and using it to empower, managing change and the dynamics of transformation, and building your professional business image, just to mention a few.
I would have difficulty actually defining it. I think it's an experience. It's an issue of what a woman leader or a leader who happens to be a woman brings to the job. And I think it's time for us as African women to know that it's fine for us to become leaders. So, it's not something that now is so shocking to see a woman in a leadership position. Just now we have at the AU level the first woman chairperson of the Commission of Africa, which means finally Africans have come to terms with the reality that there are women with good qualities, good skills, and there's no reason for us to block them from leadership. And that in fact we would do ourselves a favor as Africa to have more women taking leadership positions than before.
Now, speaking about that, how does a woman have leadership roles in the modern society that men are so prevalent in and still do it in a womanly way?
I think what it calls for is for courage, first of all, for women, because remember, they are not socialized to assume that they can be leaders, especially because what many women have seen in their own growing up process is men being the leadership models. So you need that courage, you need that strength of character, and I think women have shown that. There's just Joyce Banda in Malawi, there is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in Liberia. There are other women who are taking up ministries and leading them very, very well. So what you need is courage, you need the skills, you need to have the self-confidence in what you do and what you can do.
I think you've got to understand yourself first, and you've got to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what your skills are, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. And once you know self and understand self, then you're able to understand other people. Because I don't see how people manage other people when they don't have a better understanding of themselves.
Yeah.
Because if I know that my strength is not finances, why am I going to try and do finances? The sensible thing to do would be to bring a financial person within my team to be able to manage that for me. If I know that I'm great at doing logistics, then that's the part that I can manage, and I'll allow other people to do what they're good at. And that's the trick with project management and managing human capital. It's understanding what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and as a team collectively, what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses, and trying to work with each other to be able to attain the common goal. Because once we all have a common goal, regardless of whether I'm a finance person or not, we're going to all try to work together to be able to attain that goal. So that becomes important. Everybody must be on the same page.
Since the beginning of time, women have been the caregivers of their homes, nurturing, caring, and creating a sense of comfort and well-being. Time, on the other hand, has evolved roles women play in today's society, which men have always been at the forefront of corporate world. Bukley spoke to some of the ladies, and here are their responses.
I think women, we have made some strides in terms of striking that balance, but we are not yet there, because there are certain women who still believe that leading, you need to be very masculine, the tone of your voice, you need to be the boss, you understand, in the true sense. But there are those women who still believe that leadership in women, a woman leader, you still need to encompass those elements of being motherly, nurturing, being a mentor, and almost like treating your subordinates or your colleagues like your own children.
Women will always be women, and women also realize that they are different from men, but the only thing is that society have given them some different roles, and women, we embrace those different roles. The issue here is not because we don't want to be women. The issue here is gender equality in terms of the position that women hold, whether it's in government or whether it's in the private sector.
I'm so glad you've asked that question, because I think in the past most leadership positions have been filled by men, and so therefore in the previous generation, they call it the boomer generation, they actually didn't have female role models in terms of how to conduct themselves as leaders. And so I can see that shift happening now. It's been happening in the last 5 to 8 years, where women are starting to realize how ineffective they are as leaders if they try to emulate men. Now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the way men lead. It just means that women bring such a unique perspective to leadership that if they put that aside and try to do it in another way, they actually, I should say, are actually not helping or contributing to the whole process of how leadership can be developed. So I think in general in Africa now, for women, there's this major shift. And it is major because some of the men are still not really able to, adjust to the fact that women are taking over leadership positions.
I can say we still have a long way to go. Though I must admit a lot of achievement, we have actually realized a lot of achievement. Women have become more assertive. They've become, they now know their rights. And though we still have to do a lot of work, especially in the rural areas, whereby women, they don't even realize that they're being oppressed by culture, by other dynamics in the society. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Much has been done, and we still are positive and optimistic in terms of we have much to achieve and we still have a long way to go.
Sisters are doing it for themselves with their various styles of leadership. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, chairperson of African Union, Fulorunso Alakija, oil tycoon in Nigeria, president of Malawi, Joyce Banda, the president of Liberia, Johnson Ellen Sirleaf, and Kanye Dlomo, CEO Ndalo Media. The event was a cry out to women to take leadership role in their endeavors. This brings us to ask you if you feel women have found the balance in being great leaders. Tweet us at GMA_Africa Magic and #GoingCurrent.